Well, hello, fam. Happy Thursday. It's been another week. Um, I'm here. Luckily, I was able to hold up my end of what I said, doing this weekly, and I'm out here. So y'all willing? This will be a Thursday, uh, regular Thursday thing. Me coming to the park, finding a quiet or quiet-ish place, and recording. And sometimes giving updates and maybe sometimes not. Like there's no I guess we could call it an update. Um, I think I'm down to uh, right now. Um, I was thinking about it this morning, and I'm going to continue to look at the location and learn more about the location that to me feels right, but I'm going to pray about it too. I'm going to pray, I'm going to fast. And I'm going to do it more than once because I don't feel that just doing it one time is enough. I think that's something that we should all be doing regularly is praying and fasting. Uh, yeah. So this video, yeah, like I said, it's not really an update. I have a location. I eliminated one of the two locations that I was looking at, simply because right now going there, mom. This is what I'm realizing, right? So this is what I'm realizing. Um, Not realizing, but it's standing out more, and it's the reason why I eliminated the other location is because their national language is not a language that I am desiring to learn at this time. It is a language that, for one, is not um, native to that continent, the continent of Africa, and I've spent in my schooling 4 years um, studying a language that it has not it hasn't proved itself to be of uh, significant benefit here for me in America, even though where I live and most of the places that I've lived, I've lived in California most of my life, but I do have to look at it mostly in that aspect because I've mostly lived in California. Um, I wasn't at the other places long enough to really get a good feel of how populated, uh, or I guess to get a good. Well, it was different. It's different either way. When I really consider, so I lived in Texas. I was stationed in Texas. I don't think I mentioned that before, but yes, I am a military veteran. I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, because I'm not going to call it by its new name. It's Fort Hood. It was a hood location, a lot of hood stuff happened there. It's Fort Hood, period. We're not going to argue about no name ever. I'm going to call it Fort Hood. You can call it whatever you want. Sure, well, actually, I don't think it had a name before that, other than that. Anyway, um, the town itself was like a military town. So like people, even though it was formerly a what are we gonna call that? A farming community, and it's still surrounded by like a farming slash we'll call it an agricultural community. That's what we'll just call it, agricultural. Um, it's in the middle of pretty much, you know, the beef, the home of the beef industry. So you're looking at ranchers and farmers, either way. So the towns that are right around the base are geared to that and military. Um, there was a large military population if he's over the course of the years, and it's not really there anymore. But what I was getting to was that I'm gonna say that don't get mad at me for this. I'm gonna say Hispanic, and the reason I'm gonna tell you why I say Hispanic. And when I say Hispanic, I am referring to Mexico. I'm referring to Latin America, and I'm referring to Spain. And I know some people I've heard over the years they don't want to be called Hispanic because they don't look at their ancestry as coming from Spain, or their at least near ancestral relatives are not from Spain. However, however, you gotta look at the name of the language that you speak. It's Spanish. Nobody speaks Mexican. Y'all don't speak Chilean. We don't speak Nicaraguan. We don't speak Honduran. We are not speaking Guatemalan. Although, like, we refer to these when it comes to your country where you're from and your ethnic group. But I mean, like Brazil, they speak Portuguese. Okay, now we know Portuguese did not originate in Brazil. Well, neither did Spanish. Just because you have a different dialect of that language does not mean that you don't have any cultural tie to that land. You do have a cultural tie, and that's mainly because the Europeans that came over to the Americas, the Caucasian Europeans, the palm color Europeans, they came over and they unfortunately many of them just outright, what's the word, virtually, we'll say virtually because not all the way, but they virtually destroyed the culture and heritage of the native population, and not only just through uh, the colonization, but as well as adding their DNA into the population. That's literally what they did. There would not be really, you wouldn't find fair skinned or very light skinned uh, people in those ethnic groups unless it was added in. And I'm not gonna go into that whole history of that because I only got a 15-minute video here, so it's a short. So I'm gonna say Hispanic. Like it or not, you're gonna have to come out and come with the truth and realize that maybe not you directly, because who knows, maybe you one of the few, or you're in the population where y'all still look like y'all y'all still look like this color, all right, or maybe a lighter shade, but the ones that look a lot more like passing for the white man. Yeah, y'all y'all have some European somewhere up your family tree. There is a honky. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at them. It's 2024. We're past sugarcoating and not being honest. But I studied Spanish. What I was coming to. I studied Spanish. There are career paths that I could have taken that it would have been more useful, but looking at the career path that I got into currently, even if I was and this is the thing too, right? I thought back then that actually that might be useful in terms of work down the road, and it came in like handy a little bit here and there, like 20 years ago in my in my time in the workforce. But right now, it but it hasn't since like it, and it didn't come in handy as far as getting a job. It was just a handy communication tool. So in terms of communication, yeah, it's handy. Now, when I go over to the continent of Africa, there is no country on that continent where Spanish is a national language. There are a couple other places. There are a couple places where there are a couple other languages is a national or widely spoken language over there. Um, but the one that I'm really not interested in learning um, is why I'm not interested in is why I'm not going over there, because it is a national language. And like I said, it's not a national language that originates on the continent of Africa. It's not from Africa. It's literally from the colonizer. It's literally what Spanish did over here in the Americas. They brought their culture, their language, and they forced it on those people, and that those people unfortunately assimilated, and now it's their national language. They have local tribal languages that they speak there too, but none of those none of those are a national language. Um, Not even, and they're a lot of their languages are really only different in dialect, but there's common no common national language that is actually something that is spoken on the continent, or that allows for that would allow for easy communication, even with those tribal dialect differences. So that is not. I don't want to go over there. I don't mind learning a local language, but if it's a as far as a national language, if it's not an actual local language native to the continent, I'm not interested in learning that, because if I'm learning, like if I'm doing international business, um, that would make sense. It would make sense for that. All right. So we're approaching the 15-minute mark, and I'm gonna have to go ahead and cut this video short. I didn't think I would spend that much time talking about it, but there it is. It is what it is. So I will be back shortly, and I'm gonna just post this. See you in the next part 2.